That's the doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hey, you're listening to the People's Weekly on peoplesradiounited.com. I'm Tim Best Buds, here with Canadian Glenn and Gear. How you guys doing?
Good afternoon. Fine.
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Cool. So, I guess we can go into what everybody's doing real quick before we get going with the topics for today. So, you want to start, Glenn? I know you're coming back soon with the View Up Here.
Yes, the season 7, believe it or not, season 7 premiere of The View Up Here will be next Wednesday, October 18th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, it's nice to be coming back doing a regular show. I have to do all the work again, which is kind of a bummer, but hey, it's time to get back on.
Cool. Gear, anything you want to talk about you're working on, or Top Gear Live that never plans ahead?
I don't think we have a show this week, so there's that. So
Okay.
don't join us on Sunday, but I've been doing the selfie for Serena Shim and kind of maybe a little tweet storming about that. I need to do some more about Serena Shim. So that's all I'm doing, and of course, native rights all the time.
Yeah,
every day, all day.
Definitely. We just did a show about Serena Shim, the 3 people that are on here, and Steve Shagwell. So yeah, I mean, check that out. That was our last show on People's Radio United. It's called Remembering Serena Shim. It's us 3 talking, and we play a lot of clips from older shows. Some of them are really awesome. So check that out and take a selfie with the sign. We'll talk about it in that if you listen, but we're encouraging everyone to take a selfie of themselves with a mask, with a bandana, or just show your face, holding a sign that says hashtag Who Murdered Serena Shim, and post it with the hashtag, and Op Serena Shim will pick them all up and repost them. Anything else going on we need to talk about before we get started?
I'm sorry, Glenn, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to remind everybody that November 5th is approaching, and we will have a marathon, and since November 5th is a Sunday, I think we can safely say that the first booked show for a specific time will be Top Gear Live.
We will definitely be somewhere. Bat and I are either going to go down to Sacramento or to LA. I think the plan is to go to LA this time. So, yeah, I mean, another huge rocket.
Yeah, I vote for LA.
Yeah, me too. I think we sorted that out. Before November 5th, though, is Halloween, and I'd like to remind you all to respectfully ask you not to dress up as a Pocahontas or wear a sacred war bonnet or play pretendian, as we call it. It's time for us to leave that behind. It's 2017.
Yeah, no dressing like indigenous people for Halloween. That's just racist.
If you do, I'm going to probably come up to you and scream you like a lot and try to educate you while being very angry at the same time. So it's not funny, it's not cute. The Pocahontas costume is especially dangerous because we have missing, murdered indigenous women. Our women are at a higher rate of sex trafficking and sexual violence than any other group of women in America. So that
You're breaking up a lot, Gear.
stereotype
Gear, are you still there? We can't hear you right now. Okay. I think we kind of lost Gear. She's driving through, I think, some random out the way kind of area. So, I don't know if you can hear us, Gear. We're going to go on to the first topic, but basically what Gear was saying was don't dress up like natives for Halloween. It's disrespectful, it's racist, and as far as the Pocahontas costumes and stuff like that, there's a lot of missing and murdered indigenous women, and it kind of it demeans and berates that whole situation with their family and their relatives and just the memory of them. So don't do that this year. Or Gear said she will ream you in an angry fashion while educating you at the same time. So yeah, Glenn, are you still here?
I'm here.
Okay, we just lost Gear. So yeah, our first topic is there was a warrant put out for DeAndre Harris, who was the guy beaten up by the Nazis in Charlottesville the day that Heather Heyer was murdered in the terrorist attack when the Nazi drove the car into the crowd of people. So DeAndre Harris was, like I just said, he was a black male who was beaten by, 5 or 6 neo-Nazis?
Yep.
He had to have, I think, 10 staples in his head. It was really bad. It was the one caught on video. They haven't even charged all the people that beat him yet, but now they have a warrant out for his arrest for an assault on one of the Nazis that beat him.
Well, the way I read this is, the whole situation, apparently one of the neo-Nazis that was in that group or at that location, as the video we all saw with DeAndre Harris getting beaten, DeAndre Harris had a flashlight. And an unnamed white person went to the police and said they were struck by that flashlight. And that was enough for the police to issue a warrant. But, despite the video of him being beaten by 5 or 6, what have the police done to identify those people? Next to nothing. It was the internet who identified the 3 or 4 of them that are known. The cops did fuck all. So I just look at this as revenge for the internet doing the job for the police. So, they're just like, yeah, well, we're the cops, we'll do whatever we want. So, a white person talked to other white people and said a black guy did something, so let's arrest him. It's ridiculous.
It is. It's sickening, too. The police station was right next door. The police stood by and let the Nazis do pretty much whatever they wanted.
What else is new, though, right?
Yeah, that's how it always is. But it totally blows my mind. You expect them to do things like this, but it's just like, did you see the pictures of how he looked after they beat him? His head was split open. How much damage did this flashlight do? This guy can go to some special counsel or magistrate or something and doesn't have to even deal with the police, and they can put out a warrant for somebody just on his word.
Well, I think it's pretty interesting that, whoever this quote-unquote complainant against DeAndre Harris is, their identity's being kept a secret.
No, I think, didn't they release his name?
Oh, if they did, I didn't see it. But I mean, what kind of bullshit is this?
Yeah, we're missing Gell and Nolan, who usually check all the facts for us, so they have that on-the-spot capability.
Oh, wait, what's this?
Yeah, Gear says...
True enough. True enough. That's right. I mean, it's easy. I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind as well. It's, well, somebody said something happened and they're white. So we better act on that. But we have video of a black man being beaten by whites. Well, we don't know who they are. We don't know what to do. Ridiculous.
It's a total double standard.
As usual.
Yeah. It pisses me off.
Well, I mean, if they want to pursue this, I mean, I'm sure that either the ACLU or somebody else will step up to represent DeAndre Harris. And
the ACLU should do something. It's their fault that the Nazis were able to march in Charlottesville.
Well,
Hello?
Hey, Gear.
hello.
Welcome back.
I think he's actually been charged, DeAndre.
Yep.
Oh, okay. See, no fact checkers.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm one of those too.
Yeah, but you were on the road, so it makes it a little harder.
I have a big dumb head that I remember stuff in, and I saw yesterday that he's been charged. He turned himself in, and that's the thing. That's the difference here. This is a man with, honor. He's a school teacher, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. You got a fascist government, so anti-fascists are the problem. People who oppose Nazis are more an issue to the government than Nazis themselves. I mean, there was a freaking terrorist plot to put a bomb in an airport. The dude did put a bomb in the airport, and they got it in time, and they defused it or whatever, or disabled it. And that hasn't even hit anything on the mainstream media, like hardly ever. It's just a little blurb here and there, because the terrorist was white.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about that?
Absolutely not. No, I did not. Nope.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I think it was North Carolina. There was an airport. And go ahead, Glenn.
The statement from the person they arrested, his own words were, he's trying to start a war on American soil. Sounds to me like that's terrorism. But, he's white, so it's not an issue.
They're not even talking about it on the news, though.
No, not at all.
I'm trying to look it up right now. Like I said, I'm not using my computer because it dropped, and this Windows is not good.
I'll see what I can bring up, but I mean, it's not being talked about at all.
No, I haven't heard it.
Well, The Intercept has a story up on it. It was written by Sean King. This past Friday morning, security footage from the Asheville Regional Airport in North Carolina showed a man walking through the front doors wearing black clothing and a black cap while carrying a bag. Based on the review of the video, the individual walked near the entrance to the terminal, went out of sight momentarily, and then was seen departing the area without the bag. Following TSA protocols, airport security allowed a bomb dog to sniff the bag for explosives, and the dog signaled to the team the presence of dangerous materials in the bag. The concourse was then shut down. The street leading to the airport was shut down. They found the bag was ammonium nitrate fuel oil explosives that, according to the criminal complaint, had been used previously in a number of terrorist-related incidents around the world. So,
that's like Timothy McVeigh style right there.
Yes, it is. Sharp nails and bullets were found in this improvised explosive device. So the man who planted it, it turns out, openly admitted to authorities that he was preparing to fight a war on U.S. soil, and that this bomb was one part of that war. So how the hell is this not news? Well, here's a hint. The suspect is named Michael Christopher Estes. And you got it. He's white bread.
Yeah, if it was a Arab dude that had done that, it would be all in the news. Trump would have been talking about it. It'd have been never ending. But a white dude does it, no big deal. Let's just keep this hush hush. What gear?
I was just like, white dude does it, whatever. No worries. He's just one disturbed individual.
Yeah, another lone wolf. Another lone wolf.
Yeah, the more they're light on this kind of terror, the more these guys are going to think they can just get away with it. They're not being charged as terrorists. They're going to get jail time like if they would have done some other serious murder or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the FBI and the government has said that the real thing to watch is black identity politics like BLM. That's where the terrorism is going to come from. So they're wasting resources on a protest group instead of going after the actual culprits, which are scary white dudes who are completely disturbed and who are the fucking terrorists.
So when the next Dylan Roof walks into a church and starts shooting up something, they can say, oh, he was killing terrorists. That's insane.
Well,
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yep.
they'll come up with some kind of excuse, but I
Say,
mean, you know.
it was a black church that believed in black identity or whatever it is, extremism. So, yeah, that's insane. We talked about that on the last show for a couple minutes. That is, it's
Well, I
all
mean,
insane.
we have the Attorney General Garden Gnome Sessions running the show, so I mean, you know, color me surprised.
Yeah, he's a winner.
Jefferson Beauregard Sessions.
The third, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions the third. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Would you like a mint julep with your racism?
I think he does while he watches the people toil in his fields. You know, he sits on the porch, the mid-julep. Come back.
I mean, I don't know. I would think terror is terror, and you know, if you were a journalist or a media outlet, a mainstream media outlet, you report on all of it.
Well, you may report on it, but your editor won't publish it.
Yep. That's what happens. You know, there's a lot of really good journalists in this country, and people want to talk shit about the media, but it's not the journalist's fault. It's the conglomerate's fault, to be honest.
Yes. Absolutely.
They'll write a great story that says this guy who shot up, 58 people in Las Vegas was a terrorist. And the editor will take it and say, oh, no, we cannot say that. You call him a lone wolf, or this story doesn't get published.
Well, I think the most
crazy.
obvious way this is being played all the time is if some sort of incident happens, just like what happened here in my own city less than 2 weeks ago, And as soon as there's an arrest made, the media comes out saying a terror event before there's any charges, before they have any legal basis to call it that, because the reality is it's not a terrorist crime unless they are charged with terrorism. But the media jumps on it because the suspect arrested here in Canada is a Somalian refugee. But when there is an obvious terrorist event, such as Las Vegas, well, he hasn't been charged with terrorism, so we're not going to call it that.
Those people were in terror, weren't they?
Well, we're not going to report on that either.
It was a soft target, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, all I had to see was about maybe 3 hours after the Las Vegas incident had ended, somebody posted Nevada law. And according to Nevada statute, this was a terrorist attack. So, yet they refuse to come out and trumpet that like they do when it's a person of color.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Disgusting.
Isn't that what Trump called a miracle?
Yeah, he did.
How insane is that? Oh, here's a fun fact that we had. Since the Las Vegas shooting, terror attack, whatever they want to call it, 809 people have been shot in the United States since that day. 247 of those people died.
But
That's
now
insane.
now is not the time to talk about gun control.
Because these people think gun control means the government is going to show up at their door and take their guns. They don't see that it means I just can't buy 30 guns in so much time without raising a couple alarms and people want to know what they're all for. What am I doing? Or I can't buy crazy assault rifles with 500, 250 drum clips and all. You know what I mean? I can't buy killing machines that just make it easy to slaughter masses and masses of people. Why is that so hard for them to understand?
Well,
Because they're not thinking logically, to be honest. I mean, the NRA's fucking propaganda has gotten so deep inside their heads that they can't think logically anymore. It's now just a gut response to someone talking about guns. They automatically go, "You're not taking my gun." All right, Obama, you're not taking my gun. And it's like, why is a background check such a freak out? I have to have a background check if I work with children. You have to have a background check if you get a license, dumbass, to drive a car.
Yeah, and you have to register your car every year, but you don't have to register your gun every year.
Yeah, we have some pretty insane laws here in regards to guns. Other countries like Canada, like Japan, they have sensible laws.
Well, again, I think it's just follow the money. I mean, I know we've talked about this on a show in the past. As far as the NRA goes, it's not even their membership that thinks like this, because the NRA does a survey every year to their membership, and consistently for over a decade, every year, like 70 to 80% of the NRA membership thinks that there should be much more rigorous laws for people who buy multiple weapons. And, you know, most of the membership does not think a bump stock should be legal. But it's the NRA leadership that are the ones that come out in public and supposedly represent their membership. No, they don't. But that's how they pass it off.
Yeah.
And remember, Only 3% of American adults own weapons. I mean, it's a small percentage of us that actually are in this fight, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a small percentage of people that own most of the weapons, I think. I don't know. We've said it on the show before. I don't have statistics here.
78% of Americans do not own a firearm.
Steve Shagwell's in the chat. He said those cops in Charlottesville aren't even trying to hide their racism. That is true.
No, and in Virginia, it doesn't surprise me. I moved to Virginia when I was about 13 or 14, and I had come from a place that was like an army base, so everybody was mixed. I mean, there was black kids and white kids and Asian kids and Native kids, and I mean, there wasn't that much racism. And when I moved to Virginia, I was literally shocked to my core to see that, like, dating a black guy was still not a cool thing to do, and people would freak out about it. And I was like, what's the big fucking deal, you know? Virginia is really, really entrenched in their historical racism.
That's something they should be proud of. I don't even know why people are still racist in this day, and I don't know why people ever were racist, but you have information at your fingertips now. You can debunk all the racist BS really, really quickly. But they're still racist. I don't get it.
It's learned behavior.
And it's also living in a bubble where there are no people of color. I mean, this town here that I'm in right now, there are very few black people. There are very few Latino people. And these people think they're enlightened, but they have inherent racism. They will cross the street if they see a group of dark men. They will still do that. When a crime happens, they will say, I think I saw a black man running from that area. And that's racism, by the way.
Yeah. But some of these places going down south are really blatant, not just crossing the street. They'll confront and say some racist things and try to get people out of their towns and threaten people. It's really bad some places still. And it's worse now. It's worse now because of this jackass that's in office that won't condemn it.
You're right. It's so much worse now. Like I said, I haven't experienced racism in a really long time. And then Trump gets elected, and somebody calls me cheap like a week later. And I'm like, what? Are you serious?
Wow. The NRA is just a front. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Gear. She's breaking up again.
It's happening.
We can't hear you.
They're empowered now.
Wait, go ahead now.
Because, God damn it.
We lost Gear again.
That's bullshit.
There she is. I think we're losing her unless she curses. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like Steve said in the chat, the NRA is a front for white supremacy. And, you know, he's a firearm enthusiast, and he won't have anything to do with them. Well, yeah, I mean, but again, you know, like I said, it really isn't their membership overall who feels that way. It's just their leadership. And as I've said before, the reason that the NRA has such a huge membership has got nothing to do with their politics. People belong to the NRA because if you are a firearm enthusiast, you're going to get deals that save you money when you present your NRA membership. That's why people join, to get discounts for either gun range memberships or, you know, 10% off ammunition or stuff like that. It's like Costco, for Christ's sake. That's why people keep renewing their NRA membership, and they just ignore what the leadership says and what they do in DC. They just ignore that because it saves them money.
Yeah, it's all about the little perks.
Yeah. You know, I agree, Steve. The membership needs to grow a spine, but as I said, every year when they do their surveys, the membership is quite clear. We agree with background checks. We agree with limits on the types of weapons. They agree that people who have been convicted of violent crime and people who have been in psychiatric facilities should not be allowed to walk in somewhere and buy a handgun and walk out. The membership agrees with that, but the leadership doesn't. So,
yeah, there's a really, really loud minority maybe within the group.
Well, when Steve says they need to grow a spine, well, maybe they need to start showing up to the AGM. They need to start actually going and shouting down crazy motherfuckers like Wayne LaPierre, because that's where the problem is.
See, I see people on Twitter all the time that truly believe that guns should have more rights than humans should.
It depends what humans.
That's true. But
Yeah.
they believe guns in themselves should have all these rights and all this and that. And down from God, guns is the next most important thing in the universe.
Wow, that's just lunacy.
I see it all the
Lunatic.
time. I see it all the time.
Well, I mean, this...
Is Gear talking?
No, I
there you
was
go.
listening.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this is the thing I see when I see some really, really ridiculous comments on Twitter, and, you know, I'll expand it and look at the thread. Then I look at the profiles of these people who are saying these things, and they're all the same. Conservative, God, Second Amendment. Well, you know, admittedly, I'm not religious, but I understand what it's supposed to be about. And I have yet to see a holy book from anybody that says it's your right to have lethal force at all times. I've yet to see that.
Isn't that what the God is for? He's supposed to protect you, watch over you, so you don't need to go looking over your shoulder with a gun in your hand all the time?
I seem to remember something about your fellow man, but apparently not.
That's totally weird, bro.
Ridiculous.
Fellow man and all of that.
It just blows my mind. Like, you're so religious, and you got all these guns to protect you. Why can't your God protect you if he's so all-powerful and all this and that? You obviously don't have any faith or trust in that. It's all about what you can do with all your firepower.
Well, I mean, I just compare these people to cult members then, because then apparently everything is this endless struggle of good and evil. Well, look in the fucking mirror.
Yeah.
But no, oh no, can't be, you know? I mean, it's just like, again, it's come up in the news about it's time for churches and religious organizations to be taxable because they are blatantly political and they're not supposed to be.
Yeah. And they're going to get worse in this administration. They're changing some rules and laws to make it easier for churches to be able to contribute to political parties and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I mean, there was a statement from the White House press department today that said, this country is founded upon the principles of God.
Nope.
Who's God? It says
It was
quite...
founded
completely differently. That's the antithesis of what these assholes who decided to steal my country founded it on.
Exactly. I mean, it's quite...
Guys, I have to love you and leave you. I'm very busy at work this week, so I'm sorry about all the melee with my internet.
Oh, no worries, Gear. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on. I'll see you very soon.
All right.
Alrighty.
Take care.
I mean, it's quite clear in the Constitution that the freedom of religion exists, whether you want to pray to a rock or whatever your sky fairy is, or Cthulhu, or the flying spaghetti monster, or whatever, or not. And that is a fundamental right in the U.S. Constitution. And then we have the White House saying that the country was founded on the belief of God. Ridiculous.
Yeah, like I said, where is that separation of church and state we're supposed to have?
But, it's what's the famous quote? Fascism will arrive in America, wrapped in the flag and holding a cross.
Yep. And we're watching it happen. We did we still got to do that wrap-up show. We did the 14 tenets of fascism. And yeah, and there was one how religion and government are intertwined. And that's definitely happened. And it's going to keep getting worse the way things are going.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do some homework before I can be on that show.
No, you don't.
But,
you know everything, Glenn.
Well, no, I'd like to listen to exactly what you guys talked about before, I start flapping my gums. But, it's amazing. I mean, even before the election last November, all these so-called constitutionalists talking about how far Obama had taken the nation away from the Constitution. Now we have this fucking whack job who ignores it and acts like he doesn't even know what the Constitution says. Where did all these constitutionalists go? They're silent.
Yeah, he said he's bashed the First Amendment when he was running. He said freedom of speech, First Amendment, those people are stupid. First Amendment. He always bashes that. And there was a story not that long ago, maybe this week, where Steve Bannon said he was when he was talking to Trump when he was still in the White House. He said, "You don't need your main worry isn't going to be impeachment. It's going to be the 25th Amendment." And Trump is like, "What's that?"
Yeah, that's insane.
You have a president that doesn't even know the Constitution. I mean, the president, you know what I mean?
And more importantly, he doesn't know the amendment that's going to get his ass booted out.
Yeah, you think if he knew anything, he'd know that.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. But, again, I hate to keep using the F word, but this is what fascism is all about. You use the system to legally get into a position where you can just completely subvert it. And the issue is, not only people who stand by and do nothing are on the side of evil, that old line, but as I said once before, the best statement that I saw anywhere, I can't remember who said it, but it was from a respected American constitutionalist. They said the founding fathers did allow for someone like Trump to ascend to the presidency. But what the founding fathers did not count on was a Congress who would do nothing about it. And that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
So, midterms 2018, never have they been more important. Never. Because, all the evidence, all the probable cause is there. The impeachment should be underway, but it's not.
Well, because all these other people in Congress and Senate, they're doing criminal acts as well. Shady deals, taking money from corporations legally. They don't want that gravy train to stop. And if they stop one of them, you stop all of them, or at least a few more. You know what I mean? No one goes down alone.
But it just blows my mind that they would allow this to happen to never mind their constituents that they're supposed to be representing. But, for my entire life and, for my parents' entire life, the U.S. Congress looks after the security of the United States. That's their number one job. That's in the oath that they all take. It's in the oath that every soldier takes. It's in the oath for everything in the United States. And there is a clear and present danger to the security of the United States, and they do nothing. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, he on a worldwide scale, he is a threat to the United States as well. But I think as far as what he does within the United States, it doesn't concern him. They're a whole bunch of old white supremacists just like him. They all want the same things. They want a theocracy kind of thing where they can do their business stuff and hide behind religion and a religious government. That's their ultimate, fantasy. If they could do that, they would. So they're all on the same side of this.
No, I mean,
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, being an external observer, okay, say Trump is impeached, and then you have the Ayatollah Pence, who represents the American Taliban with his religious dominionist bullshit. And, this is just a dark period, and I don't know when it's going to end. But, I guess any step forward is a step forward.
Well, Pence, I think Pence gets rid of the insanity and crazy and instability, but you still have, like you said, a really, really bad person in office. And the problem with Pence is a whole lot more people will support him and back him and get behind him while he does his evil bigotry.
Well, Trump is just a flat-out racist. Pence is a religious fanatic. So, I just don't understand how the United States could ever get to this point, especially in the 21st century, to have these people so far up the command structure. I mean, yeah, we can talk about the 50-some million that voted for Trump. And, in my opinion, tens of millions of them are fucking doorknobs as far as they understand how their government works. And if they want to vote, based on team mentality or whatever, that's one thing. But again, what's the voter turnout? Where's everybody else? What the fuck is wrong?
Everybody else wants a candidate they can vote for. That's the problem. They give us all these screwed up choices any way you vote, you're voting for not in your best interest. They're all evil. They're all corrupt. They're all crooked.
Well, that's fine, but people are fucking lazy. Go spoil your ballot. Because imagine how it would change the narrative if there were 50 or 60 million spoiled ballots.
What do you mean by spoiled ballots? Just writing in names of people?
Yeah, go vote for Alfred E. Newman. Go vote for Frederick Douglass. You know, I mean, just fuck up your ballot, but still, I showed up. I'm making a statement. These people that say, fuck it, I'm staying home, they're not helping. There are ways to protest.
I don't see that helps. I don't see how that helps, though.
Well, let's say that there were as many spoiled ballots across the country as the winning candidate. There would be a lot less legitimacy for whoever won. And it would be an issue that would not go away.
Oh, because it brings their percentage out of the total ballots down?
Yep.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, if there were, you know, like I believe, I'm just guessing here, but I think Hillary got somewhere around 60 million, Trump got around 58 million. And that was a voter turnout of, I believe it was under 50%.
Would they even count those when they report on it?
They have to, because they would say total number of votes cast. And then you add them up and where's the rest of them?
I mean, even if it's not for one of their candidates, even of the 4 or 5, whatever parties they have on there.
Yep. They still have.
You could just write nobody and it counts as a ballot.
Or put 2 X's or do whatever. Just fuck it up. Because they have to report how many votes were cast.
That's intriguing to me. I didn't know that worked like that.
But I mean, you know, not being an American, I have a problem with the whole electoral college anyway, because, you know, how many Americans understand that when you vote for president, it's actually 51 separate elections. And they all have different rules, and they all have different names on the ballots. How is this a national vote when states are allowed to do this? There's no equivalency. And this is exactly where the gerrymandering, which has been going on for a long time, makes such a difference. When states are allowed to set the rules for how you vote for president of the United States, that's a big factor in how fair all this is. But, you know, again, you know, what does media really talk about as far as that goes? They don't. Like I said, how can so many people not know that in every state, the contest for president is different? It's not exactly the same in any state, but yet it's all for the same office. How is that okay?
It's not. And I said it before on another show, the weekly show, before I'm out of it. I got a phone ringing in the background. Sorry. So it distracted me. But no, I said it before. We need a paper ballot, so we need one person, one vote.
Yep.
That electoral college thing got to go, and it's the most ridiculous thing. I mean, they say it's because some states have, you know what I mean? Some states are bigger, some states are smaller, so it evens it out. But why does it need to be evened out? Every citizen votes. Every citizen votes, gets a vote, writes it on a paper ballot so they can't, you know, get the electronic ballots out the way.
Well, that's another thing.
Have people that watch the watchers, and then you'll get a real election.
That's another thing that I've brought up before, and people just don't either want to hear it or they don't want to talk about it. But a vote in Los Angeles County for president has about 1/9 the weight of a vote for president in the state of Wyoming. Why? Why?
Because they say that, I know why they say that it's because of the size of the state.
Well, it doesn't matter if nobody lives there. Too fucking bad. That's
exactly.
That's why you get guys like Dick Cheney who run in Wyoming.
Yeah, it's all a stupid little game to them, and they know how to manipulate it to their advantage.
But again, I say, you know, where are the people who don't get involved? It never fails. It's in every democracy, everywhere around the world. The people that don't vote are the ones that bitch the loudest when it doesn't go the way they want. And it's
Yeah, but
cliche.
if I go vote for Alfred E. Newman, as you said, or whoever, Mickey Mouse or whatever, it's not going to matter. Still, one of the evils will get elected. I understand it makes them look, in the statistics and polls and stuff, it makes them look weaker. But in the end, they're still one. They're still in charge.
But by not voting, you're giving them legitimacy because you're not having your voice heard.
I don't know. I see that as a protest. Like, you give me somebody worth voting for, and I'll vote. But I see your point too. I mean, I guess both are valid.
Well, I mean, that's another issue too. And I mean, that's an issue in Canada. I mean, how many Americans decide who's on the ballot for the Democrats and the Republicans for president? It's a very, very small fraction of the American public.
Yeah, there's a very small fraction that actually votes.
No, but I mean, in the conventions, who are these people? And why do they decide who's on the ticket? The entire system is gamed for a very small number of people. And everybody wants to bitch about, well, you guys did this and they did that, blah, blah, blah. You can take it right down to your own neighborhood. If your community league is a farce, if they're taking community league dues and the money's disappearing, what happens? People show up to the community league meetings, and if there's a crooked son of a bitch running your community league, you vote him out. Because that's right in people's backyard. That's where they are every day. They care then, but when it's your entire country that has thousands of nuclear weapons and military forces in over 140 countries, yeah, fuck it, I'm staying home. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I just hate the people that go and say, I'm going to vote for Trump because I hate Hillary, or I'm going to vote for Hillary because I hate Trump. You know what I mean? It's like,
but
disgusting.
They're still less than the majority of the voters. That's the thing that people just don't see. I mean, like I said, if there was 51 million Hillary, 49 million Trump, and 40 million spoiled ballots, it changes the entire picture.
Yeah.
Then that says that 1 out of 3 people say fuck all y'all. And it has to get dealt with. It can't be hidden anymore. I understand people's frustration and they just don't want to play, but it's the only game in town.
Yeah, I want to destroy the game.
Well, then fuck up the game by getting in the game. I mean, it's just like a game of Monopoly. You want to fuck somebody over who's on the other side of the table? Then you get in the game.
Or you could just flip the board off the table and screw everybody's game up.
But then there's no winner.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know the answer, Glenn. I kind of do like the idea of voting for nobody, really. And if everybody did that, what would happen? How would they report on it? And what would they do about it? Yep. If anything.
Well, I mean, like I said, they have to report the total number of ballots. And they wouldn't be able to get away from it. There would have to be an answer.
That's true. Because somebody would notice it and report on it and get it to the people.
Well, it just wouldn't add up. It just wouldn't add up. I mean, even in the last 6 months in Canada, there was a leadership vote for our right-wing party, and it was a sequential ballot. So nobody gets a majority, and then the last place people drop out, and then they go to their second choice and third choice, and they get added, and you keep doing that, eliminating the bottom person until somebody gets past 50%. That's the way they did it here. And when they released the numbers, there was a difference of 8,000 votes between the total number cast and the final results. And it was an issue within 15 minutes of those numbers coming out. People were like, hey, wait a minute. How come these numbers don't add up? And they had to scramble like hell to come up with an excuse. And that's all it was, in my opinion. I think it was a rigged vote, but, it's not my party. I don't belong to it. Nothing I can do about it. But, I mean, it was exposed right there. And
Yeah.
at least the issue came forward, because
Yeah.
it has to add up. And the only way you can create the visible discontent is by going and either fucking up your vote or voting for somebody who's not even on the ballot. They all still count at the end of the day. They can't just put them in the garbage.
Maybe I'll start a vote for none of the above campaign again. But actually mean, instead of not voting, go actually vote for none of the above.
Yep.
That's not a bad
Absolutely.
idea, Glenn.
Well, I mean,
Then
the
I can
game,
get one of those I voted buttons for real.
and you can go to the exit poll. That's another issue too. I mean, exit polls are for real. They're very accurate, and exit polls are a check and balance on the system. So, if the exit polls were 35% of people said neither the Republican or Democrat, it would change the way things are talked about. I mean, I've been in political parties, and modern campaigning is they don't care if there's 15% turnout. The secret is get all your people out. Fuck everybody else. That's all they care about. They don't care about people being engaged, people being interested. They just want more of their votes than the other guy. They don't care if it's 20 or 20 million.
Yeah. Just want to win.
Yeah, exactly. And the less people that actually vote, the better. It makes it easier for them.
That's true. You're going to get evil either way. You might as well go wait in line to formally and oppose it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you look around the world and, they like to make such a big shitaroo about first free elections in Iraq and stuff like this because we instilled democracy. And, you see people holding up their finger with the ink on it to prove that they voted. These people are willing to die for that opportunity, and they have nothing. But they see it as finally being allowed to have a voice. And then there's the richest country there's ever been, the most powerful country there's ever been, and less than 1 out of 2 people can be bothered to vote? It just makes no sense.
Because we know that's not our voice. Whoever we vote for, that's not our voice.
Well, when you stay home, it sure as fuck ain't. That's all I'm saying.
It's a protest.
Well, it ain't a protest that gets anywhere. That's like marching in a circle in your garage with the door closed.
But what if nobody voted? Then where would they be?
but they know that's never going to happen.
That's true.
And like I said, if the vote is 3-2, they'll take it. We won. You know?
Yeah, but they still look weak either way. But anyway, I don't know. You had a really valid point there with the vote for nobody. I can't argue with that. I just don't like the whole system, the whole way it works. I don't like the people who run it. I don't like the options they give people. And if you could only vote for those same people, it doesn't change it. So I highly encourage everybody who is going to go vote, write in any name that's not one of your the people running. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Lack of sleep again, probably.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody's heard about it in the U.S., but I mean, there is a town in Canada that elected a cat to be mayor because it got the most votes. I mean, that's a protest.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And yet those are the rules of the game. So then it's like, oh shit, the cat won. Well, then I guess everybody else is a fucking asshole and nobody wanted to vote for him. So what's that tell you? That's a statement. That can't be ignored.
That's awesome, though. A cat is your mayor.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's using the system to change it. Staying home don't change shit.
Yeah,
like I said, political parties are quite fine with people staying home. They don't care.
As long as they win.
Yep. And even as long as they don't, because then we're getting more and more people disconnected. There's fewer people that actually bother to do anything in this system. So it just makes it easier to control what happens.
Yeah,
that's why dictators love the system. There is no vote. I mean, it's another way to look at it. A place where there are no elections, right on. We do whatever we want. So how is that any different from trying to discourage people who have a vote from not voting? It's the same thing, it's just a different way of doing it.
Yeah, the dictator doesn't have to share with another party that does the same thing he does, though. There's the difference.
But in the systems we have, like in Canada, with the Westminster parliamentary system, if you have a one-seat majority, you don't have to pay attention to anybody else either. And yet we call it democracy.
Yeah, it's the same. We have the same thing with the Republicans and Democrats in Congress, and so you know that already.
Yeah. And yet Clinton won the popular vote by 2 million votes, but yet lost.
That's that electoral. That's that electoral college we were talking about.
But that's not democracy.
No, it's not.
You know. So I mean, and yet what's the response of too many people? The system's fucked. I'm not playing. Well then, you know, people get the government they deserve.
Yeah, I'm a proponent of all the people waking up and just getting out in the streets and forcing a change. But like we just said with the voting thing, that's not going to happen. This is not going to happen either, at least not for a long time, until enough people are suffering. Unfortunately, that's what it would take to make that happen.
Yep. Absolutely.
But it should happen before it gets to that point. Something has to happen before it gets to that point. Our last subject is we're going to talk about, is Trump mentally fit for his job, and we're going to talk about how Mensa offered to do an IQ test for Trump and Rex Tillerson.
Well, as far as the IQ test goes,
wouldn't that be funny if he took him up on it?
Of course he won't.
Of
but,
course.
You know, Trump tweeting some out of a Cracker Jack box, he's been certified to have an IQ of 203. I don't think Albert Einstein scored 203. I think he scored somewhere around 190 because 140 is the genius level. So Trump saying he scored 203 when 140 is the genius level is beyond ridicule. Why didn't you say 2003? I mean, what's the difference?
$1 billion.
And what does the media say about that? I mean, in some other countries in the world, if their leader made a statement like that, there would be protests from that one statement. But, you know, now sports.
It's Trump saying some crazy stuff again. That's just the norm now every single day, nonstop. But I swear, if they did that, that would be the funniest thing ever. It'd be like he wants views, go on national television and with Rex Tillerson to get your IQ test done. You'll get all the ratings in the world. Let Mensa do that. That would be hilarious. Not for Trump, but for the rest of us.
Well, the way things are, when Trump would score maybe 115, immediately you would see nothing but an avalanche of it was rigged, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is another secret of fascism. You just discredit everything.
So fake test.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter what's truth and what's not truth. People have a predisposition to think everything is rigged. And then once you have that in place, then you truly can do whatever you want if you have power. Because if people are willing to accept that there's no standard, there's no way to prove anything, then where there is no accountability. I mean, we went through that in Canada with Emperor Harper telling government-employed scientists that they had to go to a PR person before they could even talk to the public, never mind the press. You know, this is just the ultimate in controlling actual information. And, you know, when people won't believe actual information out of fear or out of their motive, you have no basis anymore. And if you don't have a solid basis for the way things are done, then that's when the inmates run the asylum.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has told almost 3 lies a day since he's been in office. Verifiable lies that people can confirm are not true because for some reason he doesn't even know there's an internet and a Google search. You know what I mean? He just says whatever he wants.
Oh, he knows it's there. He just doesn't care. He's convinced that there are no consequences. Now, that is megalomania, but it doesn't happen without people who enable it. And I really don't understand. I mean, I am nowhere near a fan of Rex Tillerson, Chief Executive Officer of ExxonMobil, you know, but I know he's not an idiot. You know, that's obvious. because the biggest corporation in the world does not have a lunatic sitting in the top chair. That's just not the way you do business.
No, he's just a corporate person who will screw the world over for profit.
But he knows exactly what he's doing and why.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just Trump's such a buffoon. He's like, that's why I wanted to take the test, not to make Rex Tillerson look good, because being more intelligent than Trump doesn't really make, most children are more intelligent than Trump. But just to make Trump look bad on national television, that would be hilarious.
Well, that's exactly why it'll never happen.
Exactly.
But, but I mean,
I could dream.
I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, I'm still convinced he will not finish a whole term. I may draw a little heat for this, but I'm quite willing to say publicly, I think he's going to die in office. He's just going to stress out and his heart's going to explode because people aren't playing his game. He's going to pout himself to death. And the sooner the better.
That's funny, but I don't think, I haven't thought he was gonna make it through his first term because of all the scandals and everything else going on, and just the total failure of his presidency in every part of it. But I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, these people, no matter what, seem to back him. I know the less and less are backing him, and he's turning on more and more of his only allies that he has left, so that may have something to do with it. But they might try to just graciously let him have his 4 years and then try to run another Republican against him or something after that. I don't know, but I can't say he's going to be out of office like I was saying a few weeks ago. It just seems like everybody's just still, no matter what, on his side some kind of way.
Well, as you said, there are less and less supporting him all the time, and you have to remember these other people that strive to get to these positions of power, they are basically the same type of person as him. They lust power, they lust being idolized, they lust being in control, and he keeps fucking enough of those people over, they will take their revenge. That's human nature.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, it's really hard for me to not sound like an asshole to an awful lot of Americans, but faster, let's go. Keep doing it. Give him more opportunity to be a fucking moron. And he'll do it. There's no doubt about that. So just, let's go. Speed up the game. More. That's a very dangerous thing to hope for the entire world. But I don't see any other way out of it. It's almost like a crack addict or a meth addict that thinks salvation is doing more. You know what's going to happen. You know what the inevitable result is. And I think it's the same thing here. It's just, will there be anything left when we finally get there? I mean, withdrawing from UNESCO, and now 24 hours later we find out that it's the United States that owes UNESCO about $60 million. Well, isn't that convenient? Yeah, we're just going to pout and leave and say that they're nuts. Don't mention that the biggest debtor in the entire world to UNESCO is the United States government. So this is just another typical way that he welches on his debts, like he's done for 40 years in his business career.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to talk about it.
He just decertified the Iran nuclear deal, I'm seeing as well.
Which has no basis. It's just a whim. I sit in this office and I want to do it. Well, you can go down to the corner store. If the guy who owns the corner store wants to give everything away or up his prices by 500%, guess what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It just, it's just how soon will it happen?
Some people are saying he has like early stage Alzheimer's or some kind of mental condition or something. I don't know. I just think it's. I mean, that's a possibility. Just some of the things he does are so way out and so like, what the fuck?
Well, let's remember that the godfather of the neoconservative movement, Ronald Reagan, did have Alzheimer's as president. So, I mean, there's precedent for it. People knew. People wouldn't say anything. It was decades later that it was admitted to. But, I mean, Reagan didn't look this crazy, and he had dementia. So what do you think is going on here? Like, come on. I mean, like Kofevi. What the fuck was that about?
Yeah.
It's never been explained. And everybody just, gets their laughs for a few days and then they forget about it. It's real. It happened. It should be explained.
It was explained. It was explained by Sean Spicer, who would never lie to the American people.
Oh, yeah.
He said that they know, the people who need to know what it meant, know what it meant.
Yeah. Psychologists, they know. He's fucking nuts.
Yeah, something's definitely wrong with him. I don't know. I just don't know if it's because this is the first time in his life he's ever had to actually think of doing some real work, or if there's something really mentally wrong with him, but something's not right.
Well, I mean, this is what megalomania looks like. I can do anything. I'm better than everybody else. Well, do you know what's involved? Doesn't matter. I'm the guy.
Ask Frederick Douglass, he'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly. Get him on the phone. But, anybody who seriously thinks that the condition of the United States and its government and its debt and its interference globally, etc., one man is going to fix that? What the fuck are you smoking? It's impossible. And it's going to happen like overnight. Just vote me in and bang, everything's going to change. That ain't how it works. And if people believe so strongly in that, it just proves that they have no idea how things work.
Yeah. Yep. We got
Scary.
problems. The world might have problems. I worry that something's like this investigation, something's going to come up and he's going to get nervous and try to just go crazy. Just like if they're going to try to prosecute me for something, I'll just blow up the world. This guy's insane. So, who knows?
Well, I mean, that's another thing too. I mean, we've seen this before in mafia families and in Colombia with the cartels. Everybody plays ball because they're making out. But then sooner or later it gets to the point where it's like, okay, this can't go on. This has to end. And it does. And it's never pretty. And it usually involves a lot of death and destruction. But there comes a point where it's like we just can't carry on this game anymore. And, I mean, like I said, that's the factor here. That's why I'm really not getting too wound up as he gets more ridiculous and more extreme, because we're just getting closer to that point.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's easy for me to say that because I'm not an American citizen.
Well, that's sometimes you can see things better from the outside than being stuck in the middle of it. But I think we all see it pretty good because this guy's insane. I don't say that lightly. Like, I mean, yeah, I say this is insane. This guy is really mentally, something's wrong with him. I don't know what. I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist. I know some have come forward and said that there's issues with him. But oh my God, like he is it could just be that he's nutty because he was born and never had, like I said, never had to do anything, always had what he wanted, always got his way, and now he's not having it like that. Or affluenza or whatever they call it. But I don't know. It just, something is definitely off. And I don't know how these people still support him. I don't know how people ever did, but even the ones that did, how do you support somebody like this? How do you back up everything he does? They're going off on every Hollywood celebrity that they could find did some, that did something unsavory, or like this sexual predator dude, Weinstein or whatever his name is. Trump did all this stuff, and Trump supporters are going off on these people, but they're not going off on him. There's people just like him on a smaller scale that support him.
Well, they're in the same goddamn circle. I mean, there's pictures of Trump and Weinstein at events. I mean, there's pictures of Trump and Hillary at events. They're all the same circle. But yet, nobody wants to recognize it. And you say, how does this happen? Well, this might sound ignorant or it might sound brutal, but it comes down to a few factors. These people that are in his cult, fear, low self-esteem, ignorance, racism, and they just think that the world owes them. I mean, it goes back to this thing from the last couple generations. Everyone is special. That's not the reality. Sorry. Very few people are. No, it's true. Very few people are truly special. That's why world-changing inventions didn't come from somebody working at fucking 7-Eleven. So don't give me this everybody is special shit. It's just not true. But people are sold that, and it sounds good. Well, gee, I'm special. Right on. Good for me. And they will never look at the reality, because then I'm not special? What do you mean?
Like you're just like the rest of us.
Yeah, that's unacceptable to a lot of people. They can't deal with it, especially if they're just like the people that they are racist against. Can't have that.
Yeah, Trump was born special.
Just ask him.
Tremendous, believe me.
My God.
Yeah. So yeah, anything else you want to bring up before we wrap, Glenn?
No, if you got to go, man, no problem.
Cool. So yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week on the People's Weekly Show. Thanks again, Glenn.
No problem.